He thought it was just a joke, a careless sentence thrown across a crowded restaurant. But within seconds, the entire room went silent. The billionaire had money, power, and a reputation for never being challenged. What he didn't expect was that the woman he tried to humiliate would respond in a way that would leave him completely speechless. And what happened next would change far more than his pride. The restaurant was busy that evening, filled with soft music and low conversations. Crystal glasses reflected the warm light, and every table was occupied. He sat in the center like he owned the room, dressed in an expensive tailored suit, his presence loud even when he wasn't speaking. People knew who he was. Investors admired him. Employees feared him. He built his fortune from the ground up and made sure everyone knew it. When the waitress approached his table, she carried herself with calm confidence. Her uniform was simple, her posture straight. She greeted him politely and asked if he was ready to order. He barely looked at her before making a dismissive remark about the service being slow. She apologized professionally and explained the kitchen was managing a full house. Then his daughter tugged gently at his sleeve. She was about 8 years old, quietly observant, her hands moving softly as she tried to communicate with him. She couldn't hear the music or the chatter around her. She relied on signs and expressions. Instead of responding patiently, he sighed in frustration. "Talk to my deaf daughter," he said loudly to the waitress, his tone dripping with mockery. "Maybe you can explain why this place is so slow." A few nearby tables went quiet. The waitress froze, but not from embarrassment. For a brief second, her eyes shifted to the little girl, and then something unexpected happened. She gently knelt beside the child and began signing fluently. The girl's face lit up instantly. Her small hands moved quickly in response. Within moments, they were having a full conversation. The restaurant wasn't silent anymore because of tension. It was silent because everyone was watching. The billionaire's confident posture slowly stiffened. He stared, confused at first, uncomfortable, then stunned. The waitress wasn't just translating. She was speaking directly to his daughter in a way he never had. The little girl smiled wider than she had all evening. She even laughed. The billionaire realized something painful in that moment. He didn't understand what his own daughter was saying, and the woman he tried to belittle understood her perfectly. The room felt smaller now. He cleared his throat and tried to regain control. "That's impressive," he said, forcing a tight smile. "Expect that." The waitress stood calmly. "I've been signing since I was a child," she replied. Her voice was steady, not angry, not defensive. Just honest. The daughter tapped her father's arm and began signing to him. He looked at her hands helplessly. He knew a few basic gestures, but not enough to follow her excitement. He glanced at the waitress again. "What is she saying?" he asked, this time much quieter. The waitress hesitated for only a second before translating. She said this is the first time someone spoke to her without looking frustrated. The words landed heavily. The billionaire shifted in his seat. Provided the best schools, the best tutors, the best doctor. He told himself that was enough. He was busy building an empire. Time was limited. Effort was delegated. He assumed she understood that, but watching her now, animated and expressive, he saw something he had missed: loneliness. Other guests returned to their meals, but the energy in the air had changed. He leaned forward slightly. "What else did she say?" Tris glanced at the girl's moving hands and then back at him. "She asked why you never learned." He inhaled sharply. The question wasn't cruel. It was innocent. That made it worse. He tried to defend himself. "I've been busy. I make sure she has everything." The waitress met his eyes, not disrespectfully, but firmly. Sometimes everything doesn't mean connect. He wasn't used to being spoken to like that. Board members didn't challenge him. Employees avoided eye contact. Yet here she was, standing in a simple uniform, saying something no one else had dared to say. His daughter signed again, slower this time. Waitress translated softly. "She says she practices every night, hoping you'll practice too." For the first time that evening, the billionaire had no response. He looked at his daughter, really looked at her. Small, hopeful expression. The way she watched him carefully, waiting. The power he held in business meant nothing at this table, and he knew it. The check arrived, but he didn't reach for it immediately. Instead, he turned toward the waitress. "Can you teach me?" he asked. It wasn't loud, wasn't proud. It was genuine. She studied his face for a moment, as if deciding whether this was another performance. And she nodded. "I can show you the basics right now." Right there, between half-finished plates and untouched drinks, she began teaching him simple signs. "Hello. Thank you. I love you. I'm proud of you." His hands felt stiff and awkward. He stumbled through the motions, unfamiliar and slow. But his daughter watched closely, her eyes shining with cautious hope. When he finally managed to sign "I love you" correctly, the little girl's reaction was immediate. Threw her arms around him, holding tightly. The restaurant, once filled with tension, now carried a different kind of silence. Softer one. He blinked rapidly, swallowing the weight in his chest. He had closed billion-dollar deals without it. This small exchange felt larger than any contract he had ever signed. He turned to the waitress. "Thank you," he said sincerely. "Both spoken and signed." She smiled gently. "She doesn't need your money," she replied. "She needs your effort." As he stood to leave, he wasn't thinking about stock prices or meetings. He was thinking about evening practice sessions, about learning more than just the alphabet. About being present. The billionaire walked into the restaurant believing power meant control. He walked out understanding that real strength meant humility, and the woman he tried to embarrass didn't freeze because she was intimidated, she froze because she recognized a little girl who deserved to be heard. That night, for the first time, he truly listened.